I'm also just going to cover this set of generic roles. So these 5 roles you'll find spread throughout the game, and they've come up already in lots of other contexts. These actually don't have the uniqueness of the others. There's an unlimited number of these role of students, for example, that can exist at once. And even if you've run out of these role cards, you can treat them as limitless and still take the role. They don't belong to a sector and they don't have a level. These don't really function like normal jobs, but they have special features in the game. So I'll start with student. As mentioned, the way that you can become a student is by getting the consent of the dean to become a student. And at that point, as you can see, the student doesn't earn a regular salary, but instead earns a degree as a salary. So if you are holding this student role at payday, you instead just get to add a degree to your statuses. And if it's your first degree, it's just referred to as a degree. If you already have a degree and you're a student again, you can then pick between a more fancy degree, medical law, business, finance, media, or theology. And then if you have one of both of those already, you can actually gain a PhD, which is pretty cool. It allows you to turn lots of jobs in the game into night jobs, which means you can get many more prestigious jobs at once. While you're a student, you get to gain lodging from Jefferson Hall, so you get free access to lodging and food as well. Well, it's not free, but it's special, and so it's kind of easier to gain. So that's student. Patient. Similarly, you might end up a patient unintentionally or intentionally. So first up, the way you could end up in it unintentionally is if you gain a mental illness that will land you in hospital for the round. And while you are in hospital, you can't actually use any other job abilities. You're stuck there. You might also end up in here intentionally. And if you do, all the medical roles can interact with you in some way. So the therapist can give you psychedelic therapy. The doctor can give you a child. The surgeon can remove a mental illness permanently. Hang on, no, we cut that one. No, it's the psychiatrist now, I think. Basically, all the medical roles will give you some unique, pretty powerful effect. But the cost is that you're going to be stuck in the hospital during payday in order to achieve that. Next up, we have the cultist. You can become a cultist by talking to the cult leader. Pretty straightforward. And next up, we have the vagrant. This is a pretty important one. As mentioned, the way you end up as a vagrant is if you fail to have lodging during payday, at which point you will be forced to accept this card. Now, if you do have the vagrant card, that takes up a job slot. So potentially you're going to lose another one of your jobs to make way for it. And you also can't quit this job. So all of the jobs you can quit freely. With this one except the other one, of course, is prisoner. So you can't quit this. You can only end this if you have a lodging during payday. And then you have a host of other unfortunate features. You can't speak. You can only communicate with a piece of cardboard, and you can't make eye contact with anyone. Any other job you have must be level 1. So you're potentially going to lose other jobs. You can't vote in elections. And of course, this job is a misdemeanor. It's a form of crime, but the difference is this is around your neck all the time. So it's very obvious you are a vagrant. And of course, the toll is trauma and pain. So you're very quickly, and this obviously accumulates very rapidly. So this is a terrible time. The other terrible time is to be a prisoner. You do get lodging, but it's going to cause you lots of pain, and you do get food, but it will cause you more pain. The way you become a prisoner is, of course, by being convicted of a crime by the judge. And once you are a prisoner, you can't stop being a prisoner until you've served your sentence. The warden is another role who will be mostly in charge and able to do whatever they want with you while you're a prisoner. Again, you can't hold jobs unless the warden gives you one. And if the warden does give you one, you're forced to have it, of course. And you can't do any activities. You basically can't play the game while you're a prisoner. And that's that. And you can't vote in elections, of course. When you leave, you get a criminal record that adds to your statuses. And then you can't get a job in the government or civic sectors. And once again, this causes trauma. So this very rapidly accumulates. So all 5 of these roles, you'll find them scattered throughout the game, and they function in most ways like regular jobs, but they are unique in that sometimes they are involuntary, and they're also limitless.